Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Breakdown. We are your hosts, Tanya Lee and Johanna Burkhart.
Hey.
I can't believe it's already been 2 weeks again, where time flies.
I know. And it's weird when we have a break between shows. It just doesn't feel right.
It doesn't. But we had absolute reasoning for it. It wasn't a breakdown in a sense where I was having a breakdown like the last one.
Nobody was having a breakdown today.
Nobody was having a breakdown today. However, we have been working really, really hard, both personally on our own personal journeys, but also with the show. And we wanted to take the time to step back. And what we did last week was we stepped back and we wanted to really think about the next couple of months and bringing on guests and making a schedule in a sense where we really feel that these are things that need to come out, people that we want to introduce you to. And what we did is we really reached out to a whole flurry of people, and we are really excited for a lot of the guests that we have on board coming on in this fall. So we worked hard on there.
Humbled. There's some people that have quite large followings that we're so humbly accepting to just have a conversation with us, because we're not doing this for anything. You guys know that. And we just want to talk to people. And so we were just so happy and humbled at the people who responded and said, yes, we'll come on your show.
Right. And then on top of that, with all that in mind, and we wanted to take the time to do that. So we used our time slot because we have busy schedules. We used our time slot last week to do that. And we did that for you guys because we really believe in this show and we believe on, opening people's minds. And that's what this is all about. And then on top of it, Johanna has started a major movement as of yesterday for Lionsgate.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, of course. So this has been something that's been brewing for quite some time. I don't know why I'm getting emotional.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is, in the sense of the movement is I am awake. And that's the hashtag, I am awake. And it really is about changing the way that we see our reality. So many people today think that we are simply a victim of our reality, victim of the rules and regulations, victims of our situations, our relationships, our families, even sometimes, there's always something. We feel like we're just one person and we're powerless, but we're freaking not. Like, we are the most amazing creators. And this movement is about shifting your perception and understanding that awake has many meanings, and simply being spiritually awake or awake in general is just another word for awareness. And it's about widening your awareness. It's about seeing the truth. It's about not believing the lies and programmings and conditionings that have been fed to us for centuries, and in recent has taken on a whole new life with the birth of online world and social media and everything else. It's so easy to spread the fear and the hate and the negativity. And so if we could all take time if we're going to be on social media, if we're going to be doing these things, to share what we are doing to be the change in the world, to share what we are doing in behind closed doors or in our communities or with our families to be that change. Think about it. If every single person took the time to do one thing out of their life every day, one thing out of their way to do that was something that would be of change, to be of service, to be kind, to be generous, to spread love, to share love, we would change the world so easily. I mean, we have created the most ridiculous things on this planet. We can create change. And so I'm just one person, but this one person is trying to spark a huge movement. And if it only changes one person's perception and awakens them a little bit, it was all worth it. So, you can visit my YouTube channel. You can search the hashtag I am awake, and you can learn more about it there, or on my website, which is mysoulevolution.com, because it's time to have a soul evolution. We're not here to start another revolution. It's time to have a soul evolution, and we can do this. We can.
I love it. I think it's beautiful. And I want to put this out here because I am part of this movement with you in sharing why I'm awake. And, what I just want to point out to people that this is because some people who are seeing this may see it from an old paradigm or looking at an old beliefs and thinking that there's some kind of weird campaign going on where they're trying to be sold something. This isn't about something sold. It's not about switching your belief. This is about finding your true, authentic self and sharing it and sharing what you are and being okay with that and not caring what anyone else thinks.
Right.
That's really what it's about. So, it's not just sharing the video, it's really sharing your experience of what it means for you. So I want to put that out there for Johanna because, it's great that you guys are sharing the video, but really what we want to do is create the movement of hearing your voice and allowing that.
Right.
Let's clear everyone's throat chakra.
Well, and channel your inner peacock, because the peacock spreads its feathers and shows all of its colors. And the peacock has the ugliest legs and feet you will ever see, but it doesn't care. It stands there proud and displays its feathers and shows its true colors. And Tanya's exactly right. Like, I want you guys to watch the video. I love that you're sharing it, but share your truth, share your story, share what awake means to you and what you're doing to be that change, to be yourself. Because if there's anything you're meant to do in this world, it's to be you.
Right.
That's our purpose, is to find our truth and be that truth.
Right. And do the stuff that you love.
Right.
Right. And taking those actions to do that. So before we derail the train, I think it's actually a good intro for our subject today, which is on the solar flash event. Now, there's a lot of theories about this. Some have called it rapture. Some have called it Judgment Day, Armageddon. Others call it just the transition to a new Earth. There's all different theories on it. Okay. The event, the event. And I wanted to talk about this because there was a flurry of it a couple of months ago where people were really talking about the event and the energy shifts and so forth. And I, being the science geek that I am, I really wanted to get a perspective of somebody who, has the love of science, but also understands spirituality and, being enlightened. And I came about a man named David Ash. And I feel like we have the perfect meld here of science and spirituality put into one. He is a quantum physicist. He's also an author, but he has, and I need to put this discretion on here too, that, these are beliefs that we on this show do not put judgment on people on what they believe in or their theories. We do this show because we like to quote, you ready for this? We love to say hashtag I have questions. Because we
have lots of questions.
Lots of questions when we're like, okay, well, what's this mean? And what really intrigued me with David is because his theory that he's really worked very hard on his theory with, that matter is light. And I was very intrigued by the whole thing, but it kind of coincided with the solar flash event and some of the history that goes on there. But I wanted to bring him on board to talk about not just his theory, but what it means to him, this solar flash event, and how it's backed up. Because some people out there need or have the feeling to need of not just being beliefs that they can just believe on something that's not tangible. And then we have people who are more science oriented who kind of need that tangible evidence. And he has both of this. And so that's why I was really intrigued by him. And if we can bring David on board, he's our first international guest. We're very excited to have him here. Johanna's going to pop him on as soon as she figures it out.
There he is. Welcome, David.
Hi, David.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm speaking in the afternoon from England, from Devonshire in England, near the city of Exeter. Yeah. Well, to start with, first of all, thank you very much indeed, Joanna and Tanya, for inviting me onto your show. And This is quite an exciting event for me. And I think what's interesting to begin with is the way that what I'm doing keys so well in with what Joanna Burker's doing, because, hey ho, the title of my book, my latest book, is Awaken.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read it too. I am.
Yeah,
It's on my list.
You can get ebooks. You can get this book online. And that beautiful lotus, the cover was designed for me by the brand guardians of Apple. You may see the same sort of colors there that you get on your iPhone and, with the Apple. So it's really lovely that they gifted the brand guardians of Apple, the designers of the Apple branding. They actually gifted this lotus to this book. So those guys are really tuned into the awakening. I tell you, it's very exciting how so many people in the commercial world are tuned in. So we must remember Steve Jobs. He's on the other side now, but part of my physics is to show there is another side. There is a greater reality than the physical. There's a spiritual and a soul reality. And so what I want to do is just to show you how, and this is all covered in my book. When I was 16, I discovered in ancient yogic philosophy that the smallest particles of matter are whirlpools, they're vortices of light. So this is how light forms matter. The subatomic particles, the electrons, the protons, the neutrons are not material particles, they are whirlpools of light. And that explains E equals mc squared, because E equals mc squared shows that basically particles of matter, mass, is fundamentally activity. And this shows you how activity, which we call energy, forms mass by spinning. And in my book, I explain away all the properties of material substance with the vortex. So that's the first thing, that we understand we're light, we're spinning light. And it's interesting, this is the feminine form of energy, because it's like the ovum, it's spherical, it's receptive, and matter is, in the Latin is mater, mother. So this is the mother form. So all you ladies out there, this is your physics, okay? The physics of the female, because the wave physics, which is what men are preoccupied with, is the masculine principle. And the wave form of energy is only half the story. The vortex or spin form is the other half of the story. Now, that explains the speed of the activity or energy that makes up our world, represented by the wool, is the speed of light. And so that's why everything in our world is relative to the speed of light, Albert Einstein. But what I'm saying is you could get other worlds formed of faster speeds of energy. So I'm predicting that there are worlds of energy beyond the speed of light. Okay, so if we see this model of the nested Russian dolls, the idea is that the physical world, based upon the speed of light, is the innermost Russian doll. Okay, it's like concentric spheres. All speeds between 0 and the speed of light belong in our world, but all speeds between 0 and twice the speed of light belong in the next world, which has been called the astral or the etheric. I call it the hyperphysical. So this is the level of the soul. And the thing is that our world is part of the soul world. So as, there you go, as Thomas Aquinas said, we're not a body with a soul, we're a soul with a body. And so what your soul is energy, it's an energy body formed of a higher speed than the speed of light. And the thing is that these super physical or super energy worlds are not separated from us by space and time, because space and time are created or set up by the vortex. So mass, space, and time are all relative to the speed of light. They all belong in our world. But you could have other worlds and they're separated from us by the speed of the energy. So they're all around us, but we're not aware of them because they're moving too fast, you see? And there could be people in these other worlds who are moving and they're all around us. We don't see them because they're moving too fast. And that is the ancient definition of angels. The angels are all around us, but we don't see them because they're moving too fast. Well, it's not that they're moving too fast. It's the speed of the energy in every subatomic particle of matter that makes up their bodies is too fast to be contained in our physical space and time. Okay, Tanya, a bit of science there. Okay.
I love it.
You love it. I know. This is the thing. We've got to start off with the science. We've got to base it on the science.
Right.
So you've got this idea. So you've got the physical, which is the inner level. You've got the hyperphysical, which is the next level on. And this is also the anima mundi, which is the soul of the earth. So we are all we've got a physical body and a soul body. In my book, Awaken, I explain how you're growing a soul body at the same time as a physical body. So if you die, which none of us are going to, by the way, that's what I'm going to tell you all about. We don't have to die. But for those people who go through the death process, when their physical body dies, another body steps out of the physical body that's identical to it. And this causes the two-body dilemma that so many people go through in an out-of-body experience or, in the near-death experience, how they're in a body, but they're looking down on their dead physical body.
That's interesting.
Can I ask you a question?
So it's because you've got sorry?
Can I ask you a question about that, David?
Yeah.
So that's not just for when people have the near-death experience. That can happen when somebody has what we would consider a death to an ego, when they actually stop communicating with, or they stop, when you go through that that process of shedding a whole layer and you step into a whole new version of yourself. I have felt that kind of experience as well, where you're having that omnipresent experience of seeing different versions of yourself. Would you agree with that?
Well, yes, it's a slight difference. It's not that you step out of this body. It's that the soul body is resonating with the physical body. It completely overlays and interpenetrates. Okay. And the physical body is animated by the soul body. And as soon as the soul body steps out, the animating principle leaves the physical body. So the physical body is still there, but it's like a wax model. Do you see what I mean? It's a cadaver. It's just, there's no life in it. Yes. So the thing is, so you are your soul body. When you look into a person's eyes, you're looking into the soul body, you see. But then in terms of what you're talking about, Joanna, there's another layer further out, the third layer, which is called the superphysical. And that's the spiritual level. The speed of the energy in the physical is the speed of light. In the hyperphysical, which is soul level, is about twice the speed of light. But the speed of the energy in the spiritual is 16 times the speed of light and faster. Okay. And so the thing is that this is what in the New Age parlance they call the third dimension, and then the hyperphysical is the fourth dimension, and the superphysical is the fifth dimension. And I'll be talking quite a lot about that in regard to the solar flare that's coming. So that's just giving you the basic groundwork. Now, what is really important to understand in terms of what I'll be talking about today is I'm predicting it's possible to accelerate the speed of energy in every subatomic whirlpool of light that makes up your body. And you would, if it's accelerated to the speed of fifth dimensional energy, you would disappear out of this world and pop up in the fifth dimension, in your body, in your physical body. So this is the possibility called ascension. And what I'm actually predicting is the process, which is it's a super energy resonance process, that if you have a beam of light, of energy based on 16 times the speed of light, and if you step into that beam, then through resonance, all the little whirlpools of light in your body just simply accelerate to that speed. And so it's a resonance process. And this is literally beam me up, Scotty. And what I'm predicting is very soon, all of us, that is you, Joanna, and you, Tanya, and hopefully me, but everyone listening to this show, I promise you, you're not going to miss this. You're going to be offered a doorway of light. It's going to appear like a doorway of light. And this is the most important bit of information I've got to say today. And what you do as soon as you see that light, let go of everything. Don't let any thoughts or fears come into your mind. Just go into the light. It's something that you either step into or you intend yourself into. It will happen whether you're asleep or awake. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. When that opening of light, you just surrender to the light. And that light, if you like, comes from God. It comes from heaven. And it's just like surrendering to the light. Now, what will happen is that we are then lifted up into the fifth dimension, and we pop up in this higher dimensional state. And the second phase is you step into the ascension flame. And in this ascension flame, basically, you're transmuted into your angelic being. You become a spiritual being. You become an angel. Because what I teach in my work here, and this is based on Emanuel Swedenborg of the 18th century, is that this is the level of becoming angels. We're, if you like, in an angel making factory. We are baby angels here, you see? So what we do is we become angels when we ascend. So what's really exciting about the solar flare, because when I talk about the solar flare in a minute, it's scary. I mean, it really is quite scary. And I don't want to scare anyone. I'm not here to be a fearmonger. So in tune with what Jenny McCarthy is saying is that basically the solar flash event coming is the end of the Kali Yuga, the end of the darkness, the end of the age of real challenge, and the beginning of the Sat Yuga, okay, the next great age of light. And again, it's to understand there is no evil. There are four ages. There's the age of gold, age of silver, age of brass, and age of iron. And they correspond to the training of the baby angels, which goes on over a 26,000 years period. And we've been reincarnating again and again into these different cycles. And the first one is like baby for babies, kindergarten. The second is for primary school. The third, which is the silver age, the first age, gold. The third age, which is brass, is like high school. And the fourth age is basically like university. And these ages, they're basically training us. And we are trained through difficulty, challenge, and adversity. Our experience here is of grief, of suffering. It's not, this is a boot camp, okay? And so the purpose, you know, if any of you are going through a difficult time and suffering, all you've got to do is endure it and understand it's an essential part of your training that you really want at a higher level to go through. Even if it hurts down here, it's something that helps in your spiritual growth. Tanya, you've got a question.
Yes, I do. Mr. Intuitive David Ash, I do have a question for you. I just wanted to step back with your belief that when this doorway appears, and if we go in here, what is happening on the 3D dimension here? Is that person, is it really that much of a change? I mean, I'm just saying, like, are people thinking, because when I hear that, I'm going, oh, so do they disappear? Do they just go? Or is this just another upgrade of here and we just can't see that because it's our ethereal self and so forth? Because how you have described that. Does that make sense?
Well, let me explain. As far as I'm concerned, with this ascension process, you do physically disappear. You go with your physical body. But the main thing is, when you've gone through the ascension flame and you've become an angel being, but you've still got your physical body. We have a party, we have conferences, because we've got a big plan as a team, because we're all coming back. And what happens is that the speed of energy is then slowed down in your body, and you pop back up in the world basically at the point at which you left. Now, the thing is that because it's got nothing to do with our space-time, it's more like to get you back into the same second at which you left. It means it's like shooting an arrow into the bullseye. If you can come back within minutes or hours or days of when you left, it's much easier to get you back. And there are a lot of people that have got to be projected back into this world in their bodies. So it kind of makes it easier if there's not too much stress. So It's like if you're asleep at the time, it doesn't matter if you're out. Your physical body may not even leave this world because it could all be happening whilst your physical body is here. So it's possible that, you know, it's like if you're driving a car at this point, you have to have a lot of faith to step into the light. They will get you back into the same second of time here at which you left, so that there's no crash. Okay, but hopefully, because of what's coming, that it won't happen like that. So how does this all figure with the solar flare? Okay, well, the whole idea of this ascension, of taking us up and returning us as a team, is an incredible act of mercy and love on behalf of something which a lot of people don't believe in anymore, the big G, God. Okay, it doesn't matter what you call God. It could be God and the gods. You know, we're dealing with angels, we're dealing with beings that we've called gods. You may be a deist, you may be a theist, there's all this sort of stuff, but basically there's the great big good compassion love out there that cares for humanity. And what they realize is that, well, we don't deserve the title Homo sapiens anymore. We deserve a new title, which I've invented for humanity, and it seems to apply to me in particular, actually. It's called Homo fuckwittus. So we're fuckwits, you see.
I love it.
Well, why are we Homo fuckwittus? It's because we've become totally dependent upon electricity.
Can we hashtag this?
Yeah,
We must hashtag that one. That's a good
and
one.
every day that goes by, we become more dependent on electricity.
Right.
And so the thing is this, that periodically our sun farts. Okay, it's called a solar flare, or the correct name is a coronal mass ejection. It's an ejection of plasma and cosmic particles, also gamma rays, X-rays from the sun. It's the stuff the sun is made of, which is plasma, and occasionally the sun belches and farts, and this is associated with sunspots activities, and it's on an 11-year cycle. 2011 and 2012 were like peak activity in the sunspot activity, the last lot. And one of these coronal mass ejections passed through the orbit of the Earth, and we missed it. That was 23rd of July, 2012. We missed it by 9 days. That's like a bullet passing our ear. Okay. But the next maximum is 2022. Okay, so that is the likeliest time that we'd get a solar flare and a solar flash, you see, or solar flash, or what, as a scientist, I call a coronal mass ejection, CMME.
Now, did you base that equation just based on what statistically it was before, or like how did you come about that?
What I'm talking as a scientist now. This is generally known, and the thing is that the scientists, there's a chap called Avi Leob and another chap called Lingham from Harvard University. They actually published a paper. It was in the New Scientist. Let me just look at that. This was October 27, 2017. And what they said is that basically, if we got hit with a major coronal mass ejection comparable to what happened in 1859 on the 1st of September, okay, then there would be a wipeout of our electrical civilization.
Wow.
They estimated in that
Technology,
article it would cost $10 trillion to repair the damage. And estimates by scientists, it could be up to 10 years to get systems back up again.
So this is what people are always in the spiritual communities
that?
are always talking about. In the spiritual communities, a lot of the big ones, including, Jen McCarty's page, they talk about losing mass power. That's what they're referring to?
This is what I'm talking about. Yes, you lose mass power. What happens with is that you get this cloud of cosmic ray particles that come in. Now, the first thing is that the X-rays will damage the satellites, okay, the sensitive electronic equipment in the satellites. So that means that like Google Maps is gone, the internet's gone, our satellite intercommunication systems will go. It takes 17 minutes for the coronal mass ejection to reach the Earth. When it reaches the Earth, basically the cosmic ray particles, which have colossal amounts of energy, each particle from the sun carries vast amounts of energy. You're talking about billions of electron volts, which tell you an electron volt is the energy required to raise 1 electron by 1 volt. Yeah. Okay, but you're talking about trillions of electron volts, sometimes trillions of electron volts in one little particle. So you get trillions of particles coming in a cloud, and these guys just love wires. And they love the high tension cables. They're all going to head for those cables because those cables are earthed. The pylons are all earthed in case of a lightning strike. And they love aerials that will take them to Earth, especially big spiky things like the national grid. So the thing is, you've only got to get a solar flare, hit one area, say of the UK, and the national grid will spread the massive direct current surge through the grid. So if one part of the grid gets spread, it affects the whole grid. So you see, the national grid suddenly turns against us because it attracts the charged particles and it sort of picks up the energy and delivers it everywhere simultaneously. Now, the thing is that what makes what we call here the national grid, you've got the same grid in the US of A and in Canada. In Canada, in Quebec, they were struck with a solar flare in the 1980s. And basically the transformers, that is the step up, step down transformers in their national grid, were exploding and burning. These transformers are coils of copper wire in oil. And what happens is that the copper wire heats up like the wire in your toaster, okay? And all goes red hot. And it boils the oil, and then it ignites the oil, and the oil literally explodes and blows the transformers apart. Now, these transformers are extremely expensive, okay? And what they should do, they should have fitted surge protectors to the transformers, but that is very expensive. Okay, so rather than, and they calculate the risk and they say, well, there's not much risk, we'll be hit with the solar flare, you know what I mean? So basically, your house has got fuses and surge protectors, but the national grid hasn't. And that's the problem.
Can I ask?
In the UK, they've just spent £6 billion on 2 useless aircraft carriers that are just good target practice for Putin. And they could have spent that £6 billion on fitting fuses to all the transformers, because the risk of a solar flare is greater than the risk of the Russians attacking us these days. Okay?
Yeah.
We have some questions.
Oh, yeah, I got questions.
You've got questions. Fire away.
Do. If we are the collective, right? We're in collective energy. We have that collective vortex that you talk about. With this solar flash event, with the idea of losing technology and so forth, is the idea that we can't really stop this solar flash event happening with this technology going down? Is collectively, are we preparing without even almost like a subconscious level, even though some of the people who are waking up, is this why there's a need to be more amongst nature, more amongst things that aren't technically driven?
Definitely.
People first waking up where they're doing that. Is that just preparation so that people are prepared and not upset when all of this goes away? Or is that?
I have a question to feed on that too.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of people people are in tune feel that they've got to get back to nature. They've got to prepare the vegetable patch and all the rest of it. The thing is that just to conclude what I've said, because I'll bring that in right away, Tanya, the biggest danger with the solar flash is that it will burn out the step up, step down transformers in the grid, and all the electricity goes off. And also it burns out the solar panels. So it's the electro distribution. So suddenly the lights go out. And when you think about it, we're so dependent on electricity. Electric pumps pump the water. Electricity is used to operate the doors of the supermarkets, the tills, all our food distribution, growing.
Cars.
Everything depends on electricity. So if electricity goes, our communications have gone, and we haven't even got checkbooks anymore. All our money is electronic transfers. And when this happens, you may be clapping your hands, money will be gone forever.
Hey, David, I have a question
in
for
10
you.
years' time, before the money's back in, 10 years is a long time to go without any food, water. We human beings, we're so used to living with money, we wouldn't know what to do.
Right. Johanna's got a question. Go ahead, Johanna.
What?
David,
Johanna's got a question.
I have a question. So I believe energy is subjective. It's always shifting. It's always changing. And so are you saying that there is no way of shifting this event from happening, that we can't, that this is going to happen no matter what we do? Because I feel like this is another reason why we're in this great awakening.
It doesn't take any fancy technology. It takes the priority of government, like in Britain, to get their heads out of Brexit, to actually invest millions, billions of pounds, dollars in fitting fuses to these transformers. Wow. They've got to protect the transformers. If they protect the transformers, no problem. There'll be a lot of complex electronics will go down. Maybe the internet will go down, but the recovery would be much quicker. But I tell you, if we burn out our transformers, all the technology, all the manufacturing base of the world's gone to China. We can't even make our own transformers.
But so there's no avoiding the solar flash, is what I'm getting at. It's going to happen regardless if people wake up or don't, or become aware or don't. It's not about shifting our vibration at this point. This event is something that will happen.
Yeah, that puts the lights out. You see, I try to talk to people about ascension. Very few people are listening. They're all too busy. And people are preoccupied. They're too busy on Facebook, unless they're listening to Jen McCarthy. You know what I mean? But they're all, everyone's got their jobs, but everyone's rushing around in the world. Now, if you get a total blackout, suddenly people don't know what to do. And the divine plan is brilliant, because I'm predicting, I can't say for certain, but these vortex resonance beams will be offered to us during that solar flare or shortly after, or maybe just before. But anyway, the point is, if we go and come back as angels, what it is, the powers that we have are incredible. When we're in the ascended state, we can step in and out of space-time, so no one else, everyone will be paralyzed. The whole of our society will be paralyzed. People will be bewildered and confused, okay? The cars won't work, there'll be no fuel, there'll be no communication. It's just total blackout. We appear, and we can, for example, once you've gone through this, you won't have to catch a plane to go to Australia. You just choose to drop into Australia. So you leave the space-time and come back. When you return, you'll have a jewel. It'll either be a ring or a pendant. And you just press the jewel, and it's a switch. And the switch is on the beam, and you disappear.
This cannot happen fast enough for me. What? I'm ready. I said, this can't happen fast enough for me. My whole theme is beam me up, Scotty. Like, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Where's my ring?
The whole idea is that also, I explain in my book how, Jesus fed the 5,000. The magic porridge pot, how Amma fed 300 or 400 people out of a little pot of rice, how Sai Baba does his miracles. It's all explained by slowing down the speed of energy. What happens with the feeding of the 5,000, okay? How did Jesus do that miracle? He was working with an operator in the hyperphysical called a genie. I call them hyperphysical operators, working with the equivalent of a laser beam. In other words, there's a beam of energy, of super energy, that you don't see, it's invisible. But what happens is that the master, like Sai Baba or Jesus, okay, they pray over the food. So Jesus prays over the 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And his hyperphysical operator brings in a beam of super energy and passes it through, like a laser beam, through the loaves and fishes. And what it does is the super energy is condensed into our world through the loaves and fishes, acting like a template. And then they're reproduced and reproduced and reproduced. If you read the story in the Bible, 5,000 people were fed and there were basketfuls of it. You see, so what we would do, this is the power we would come back with. If people are there and they've got a candy bar, we can just reproduce the candy bar, or we can actually work miracles to feed the people. This is the amazing thing. We can actually take care of the people. We can explain to the people, because we'll be preparing them for a second and a third wave of ascension.
So basically it's about preparing them, or
Absolutely.
The first wave out is just preparing the next.
Absolutely. This is all about getting the planet ready for ascension. The planet is ascending. People say, oh, I don't want to go through the ascension because I don't want to leave the earth. I'm sorry, folks, because the earth is going to the 5th dimension. Okay. And it's all explained in my book. If you want to stay with the earth, you've got to become a fifth dimensional being. So you've got to ascend, but that's your choice. Do you see the idea? Whereas the earth is just going through it. So if we want to stay with the earth, we've got to go through the ascension. But actually, a lot of us, we're destined for a future in the universe at large. You know, we're being trained as managers. We're here for a divine purpose, which relates to the whole universe. You see, we all get so attached. That's our problem. So the thing is that this is the time of ascension. So the brilliance of the solar flare, switching off the electric, it grabs everybody's attention. People are in a listening mood. And I tell you, there's nothing like hungry people. If you're there and you can feed the people, they're going to listen to what you have to say.
I feel like this is why so many of us are creating these movements to get people to step out of the fear and see that we are very beautiful creators of our reality. Because look at we came to this space, we wanted to have this experience, and look at all the useless things we have created here. I mean, the list goes on and on we can create anything. So if we can get more people to shift and open their mind to see that just because someone isn't providing it to us with the ease of the internet and the fastness, that we can't go back to our roots of creating again and being that power in our own life. So I'm actually going to be probably the very minority here in saying I'm very excited for this event.
I know it's something to look forward to. The only thing that matters for humanity is that there's sufficient number of people on that first wave. What matters is that you are willing to go through that experience. You go on the YouTube, and there are idiots out there saying, whatever happens, don't step into the light because you'll be abducted. Well, of course it's an abduction. We're being lifted. We don't know where we're going.
I'm ready. My shirt will say
we're going to be abducted by Jesus and by Ashtar and by Kuan Yin and by the Blessed Mother Mary. And you know what I mean? It's all our... See, people like Jesus, he was Yeshua in the near-death experiences. He's pissed off the way we've made him into a god and put him on a cloud. He was a human like us, but he went through this process ahead of us to show the way. So we meet up. He's in charge of the ascension process. And so basically he's there to greet us. So, I mean, this has been predicted. You know, I spoke to a professor of theology who was a Jesuit at Heathrow College in London University. I said to him, is Jesus coming back? He said, no. There's nothing in scripture that says that Jesus is coming back. Elijah's coming back, but not Jesus. He said, no, what scripture said is that a group of people are lifted into heaven and they meet Jesus in heaven and then they return to the earth, you see. So the thing is, this is the first wave of ascension, and we're the ones, it's whoever is ready whoever is, people who bother to listen to this program, they're getting the message, they're getting the information. You see, I loved what you were talking about Awaken. You girls are absolutely ripe for this ascension, because you're out there, you're doing it, you're helping in the awakening of humanity. You're absolutely primed for this first wave of ascension. What happens is just God tweaks us a bit, just a little teeny weeny tweak. He takes us up, tweaks us, and sends us back. And the little tweak is to transform us into angels.
So David,
which is our destiny anyway.
You don't think that the Earth is already transitioned into 5D and that she is just giving us some grace time to get our shit together?
Absolutely. What it is, Joanna, is the Earth needs cleansing. There's too much plastic. There's too much nuclear. There's too much hatred. There are too many weapons. There are too many arms. There are too many tanks. There are too many cars. Too many books. It's all got to be cleaned up. The Earth needs to be cleansed, because there's a new batch coming through. And we're given a choice. We either want to graduate as angels, or we just, who the hell wants to die? Let's all jump into our coffins. Let's all jump into our coffins. Let's all jump into our coffins.
I have so many shirts.
And be miserable as hell. My father used to sing that song when we were kids. Let's have a wonderful time dying. No, come on, I've had enough dying. I think we've all gone through that boring old process thousands of times. Let's do something different. Let's ascend. Let's just step into the light and go into our glory and bow to death no more.
So let me ask you this with the missions here. For the people who have left already, passed on, are they going to be assisting from that side while we go back?
Well,
okay. So is that going to continue, or? All the souls that have died are waiting in the
anima mundi, in the soul level of the earth, the hyperphysical, and they are all ascended at the time of the third wave. There are three waves of ascension, you see, but there are souls who are already ascended, like Jen McCarthy. When she had her first wave ascension process, she's already been sort of lifted in her consciousness. I don't think her body was lifted, but a lot of people have gone through an ascension process, and she went through that, and she met John Lennon. It's not just Jesus up there, it's the JJs, Jesus and John, John Lennon as well as Jesus. And so there'll be plenty of people like Martin Luther King and Bob Marley. These
there you go, Johanna. Tom Petty.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Petty's there for you.
Tom Petty is
they're all there.
Tom Petty is with me all the time. Tom Petty is the one. Yeah, that's why the show's called The Breakdown, because of his song.
Didn't they say, doesn't scripture say the dead will rise from the grave and will be walking on the earth again? I tell you, that'll wake people up when John Lennon's walking about, shining with so much light they have to put their shades on. Anything's possible. Why not? You see? Look, if this doesn't happen, it doesn't matter, because, let's dream a dream. Let's allow for a possibility. I've spent 50 years developing a physics to make this scientifically possible. Okay. And
listen, I'm down with it.
How much rubbish there is in physics.
Right. I think the only thing that I think is missing is my superhero costume, but I get a pendant. So I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Well, the thing is, don't worry about your dependents. If you've got children, they'll be lifted with you. You won't see it. You have to trust. That's part of the faith, test of faith.
Right.
If you've got pets, they can be lifted with you. But if you're coming back, look, you go out shopping. You go to bed. You're not with your kids 24/7. So the thing is, you'll be looked after. You'll be coming back so that none of your dependents suffer. You come back into this world, and you're in a better position to look after your kids if you're in the ascended state than if you're a human being stuck on the planet without a veggie patch, and there's no electric and there's no food to cook the kids. They'll be screaming at you, Mum, what you done? And then you'll be kicking yourself if you miss the light.
David, what's going to happen to the people who have zero faith? There are people that I know that don't have faith in religion, let alone have faith and trusting in themselves, the unseen. So what's going to happen to those people who are stubborn and just don't want to expand their mind a tiny bit?
Well, you don't have to believe in religion. You don't have to be religious.
I know, but if you're going to, some people either have faith in spiritual or religion. Some have none.
Yeah. Look, there are vast numbers of people who are so stubborn and so locked into materiality in that you know, it doesn't matter what proof you give them, they will not believe. Now, the thing is that we, you know, if we come back in the ascended state, it will be so much proof. If these people don't open their minds, even then, well, there's no hope for them. They've just got to go through the death process when the earth is cleansed. And the thing is that at the time of the third wave, all children and innocence will be lifted, and there will be mothers who suddenly won't know what's happened to their children and their babies, but they go. That, you know, if the parents have chosen not to go through the ascension process, the children still have that opportunity, and because they're innocents, they will be lifted. So the thing is that it for human beings, it's a choice. You know, nothing is going to be forced on us. I tell you that, you know, I include myself in this, and maybe you girls are included in this list, and there are star seeds. Now, who are the star seeds? The star seeds are beings that they're already angels. You're not baby angels, you're already angels, and you've come back through the thousands of incarnations to be here at this time,
Right,
ready to ascend.
I believe
so that
that
this is not an invasion of angels. If you go onto the YouTube and you look up the return of Elijah, there's so many you know, video clips that take you 6 months to go through them all, and they all say that basically Elijah, when he returns, comes back with an army of angels. Okay, so it's the return of Elijah. Elijah returns, and he comes back with the other ascended masters, and basically we operate as a body. We've all got a plan. We're all working in harmony. We're a team, you see. And I mean, it's a time of great rejoicing for humanity. Imagine that. Imagine hundreds of thousands of Jesuses on the planet.
We have somebody on the show right now who says, beam me up. I'm so going into the light. I had a vision and meditation about it. Mind blown. So here's the thing. Do you believe this too, that people are starting to get visions of this already, that they know
yes, it's happening. There's so many people like Jen McCarthy. I mean, she's on fire.
She should just be on this show because we've said her name like 10 times.
We have. We should reach out to Jenny.
I'm sitting here with confidence saying it's going to happen is because of Amma, the hugging guru, okay? Because she's like my guru, okay? And I go and I've spent time with her in India, and I go every year for a hug, okay? In 2016, she said a solar flare is going to hit us between 2020 and 2022. As a scientist, I say it's most likely 2022 because that's the next solar maximum, but it could be sooner.
So you don't know don't know when this is going to happen.
No, we don't know when.
So what is the ingredients that make this trigger? Do you know that? Do you know what the ingredients are, what needs to line up for this to actually happen?
Well, basically, it's the solar flare. What it requires is for the sun to fart in our face.
But we have no idea. So
no idea.
How did you narrow it down to 2-year window?
Well, that's what we were saying before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in a cottage in a unit that's part of a country house, like a stately home that's been transferred into flats. And one of the people living in a flat works at the Met Office in Exeter. The meteorological office for the UK is in Exeter, and he works there. And he's told me that they've got a desk there for solar weather. And he said that they will tell us 17 minutes before a solar flare hits us that it's on its way.
What are we going to do with all that time? I mean, that's a lot of prep time.
It's a lot of prep time, more than we need.
Well, nobody knows. I mean, it's up to the sun.
So I don't want people to be in fear, because let me tell you, I work with the collective that I work with, galactic beings and angelics. The main message I've been hearing is just to shift people out of fear, because fear and into that possibility and opportunity type energy. And so I don't want anybody to come into fear with this. So what are some things that people can do from your perspective to not be in fear of this event and build bunkers and the crazy things that people did in 2012?
Because I think fear on top of it brings separation, which is what you
It
don't want.
does. I mean, look, it happened in 2012 at the end of the Mayan calendar. People started building underground bunkers and going crazy. And I don't want to feed into that. And I know you don't either, but I also want to give people something, some kind of sustenance to help them shift out of that mentality.
When I was spreading the Ascension message through, basically in the 1990s, in 1993, we said that there's going to be a 10-year extension. Humanity's doing so well spiritually that we've got an extra 10 years on 2012. The solar flare that was due to hit us in 2012, on July the 23rd, 2012, missed us by 9 days. That was a miracle. Like I said, the bullet passing past the ear. Okay, so the thing is that it's not like the 2012 scenario in the movie. It's nothing to fear. It's the equivalent of the Carrington event. Go online and look up the Carrington event of 1859. These solar flares don't harm man or beast. They don't do any harm. They just create incredible lights in the sky. It's absolutely awesome. It's the northern lights coming right the way down to the equator, okay?
Wow.
But it's just the electric. In other words, we get a blackout. So that is it's not going to do any harm. It's just that your phone won't work. Your smartphone won't work. Your cooker won't work. It's just that electric.
But that's enough. That's enough to put people into fear of stockpiling and things like that. And that's what
stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to get people away from.
I would say that if we're going to be Homo sapiens and not Homo fuckwittus, we would make sure we stockpile food and water before every solar maximum, because there is a 12% chance with every solar maximum of a solar flare hitting us, according to the scientists.
David, I'm going to create a shirt that has that homie fuck, whatever you call it, on there, because I think we all need to be wearing that.
I mean, the thing is, when Amma mentioned in 2016 that there's a solar flare coming, they silenced her. The Americans were complaining that it was spreading fear, and therefore she wasn't allowed by the ashram to go on talking about the solar flare. She complied, and I think that's a pity, because I think we need to be warned.
Today, YouTube's been pulling videos like crazy when people talk about things, and we take a risk with that as well, but it needs to be out there.
I'm living somewhere, and there's a bridge down the road that's just been washed away in a flood, and I know my mates are traveling down the road at 60k toward that bridge, but I'm not going to ring them up on my cell phone and warn them the bridge is gone, because that might put them into fear. Do you see the logic?
Yeah.
It's a false logic. No, of course I'm going to ring them up and say, the bridge is gone. Don't get freaked out, but get ready. So I think it's good. It's no good people getting firearms and going into bunkers and stuff like that. There's no harm in having some stockpiles of food and water and torches and matches and stuff like that. But the best way to prepare for this is to get ready for ascension. Get ready. It's what you're already doing, Joanna, encouraging people to do random acts of goodness every day, just acts of love, acts of kindness. It's just to get into unconditional loving, caring for other people.
Right. And not spreading hate and negativity. And also, you hit the nail on the head when you said that we're attached. We need to detach from everything, meaning something, from materialistic things, all of it. Like detachment, we are so attached as humans to everything. So this is going to be a huge lesson in detachment, which goes hand in hand with ascension anyway, detaching from the emotions and, the meanings, the ego mentality. Yeah, all of it. So it goes right along with that.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's, the people who are listening to this information are the people who are kind of like more or less ready anyway. It's what the first wave are the people who are already awake, it's like the star seeds of people who are awake. Let's get ready. Let's prepare ourselves by prayer, by meditation. The most important thing Jesus said for ascension is unconditional love. So just start, taking care of people and not sitting on our pile. I tell you, if you've got money in the bank, it won't be there after the solar flare, because it will wipe out all the electronic transitions, you see. All depends on the internet, all depends on electricity.
So what do you say about the people who, because I've been hearing a lot about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and that's all electronic currency basically. So do you have I know this is kind of off topic, but I mean, what do you have to say about that? Because I've heard that that's going to be the next financial.
Yeah, I know, but the solar flare will wipe. If there's a solar flare, if
Wipe it
there
out.
isn't a solar flare, you're quite right, Joanna. But if there is a solar flare, all the money, all money is now in electronic transitions like Bitcoin and that. It will all be gone, all the investments, all the value. It's the biggest shock for humanity is the disappearance of money.
Yeah. And this will be the collapse of our financial system for sure,
Oh,
that people have been talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole world just turns, we need the spiritual money. We need the money of love.
Yeah, I agree.
Of giving. You know what the angels say, who've been talking to people like Jen McCarthy and stuff like that. They've said when the solar flare happens, because it's not just Jen, it's a lot of psychic mediums, channelers are getting the same information. This is coming. They said when the solar flare comes, they said the poor people will teach the rich people how to give.
Yeah.
Mhm. I believe
agree.
that. I believe that for sure.
Mhm.
I believe that. And I feel like limitations, because all this idea of like limited beliefs and why poor people stay poor is because they have limited beliefs. I think that's all going to be wiped out because we're all going to be in the same.
It's a reset.
Exactly.
It's a huge reset.
Yeah, we're all going to be, it's a level playing field for the whole of humanity. It's going to be wonderful because basically we all need to kick up the arse. We all need to be shaken up.
Yeah.
I mean, all this 5G stuff. I mean, there's we know that we're concerned about plastic, but it just goes on and on and on.
Right.
Yeah, but there's been a lot more. I've noticed over the last year, I've seen, because it tends to be whatever's trending or whatever's popular becomes the thing, right? So recently it's been more about veganism and even sobriety and even these shifts where it gets trendy to be nice to people or trendy to eat healthy. And if that's what you need it to be trendy for this to happen. Then that's what we'll do. But you know what I mean? But there has been these shifts of more eco-friendly and shifting of that consciousness, even to people who I wouldn't say are spiritually awake. Their awareness is shifting and they don't even realize it. Like I'm watching these things happen to people who are like, people like me, they call my team calls me an activator. So when I get around people, I plant seeds and open their mind and I watch it happen. I watch the spark happen and they're like, wow, my mind's blown. And it was something so small. And while they're not considering in that moment, they're like, oh, I didn't just wake up. I'm like, you were waking up though. Like that seed has been planted and that flower is now growing. And I love watching that happen and see people's mind, like the boxes just fall down the walls, So we just have to keep doing that. We just have to keep.
This is why we've got the 10-year extension. Because it's an exponential thing, is to give more time for that to happen because it's happening. That's why the event that's happening that Jen is talking about, the event is happening, is what you're talking about there. That's the event. Is people are becoming vegan out of compassion for the planet, out of compassion for the animals. People are becoming more considerate. Everyone's waking up, and it's to give us more time to wake up. I mean, the whole thing is so exciting when you think of what.
And that's when I woke up. 2011, 2012 that's when my awakening began. And so I can see it now. And that's what my team says. This is the great awakening and it's our best shot.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe we already blew through an hour.
Is David going to sing for us?
I tell you what. Have we got time for a song?
Sure.
We do. We have time for a song. And then when we're done the show, make sure, David, you stay on because we're still going to stay on. So just make sure you don't hang up on it.
So this is the song, the Awaken song. And so this goes this is like an anthem to awakening, Joanna. So this goes with your movement as well.
Lovely.
Taught to believe things are the way they seem. We have forgotten this world is but a dream. It's time to awaken. It's time to unlearn. It's time to let go and take the journey home. Accelerating change is the order of the day, as all human structures begin to fade away. It's time to awaken. It's time to unlearn. It's time to let go and take the journey home. Let the heart lead the head. That's the only way. The mind has to know it no longer holds full sway. It's time to awaken. It's time to unlearn. It's time to let go and take the journey home. For long we have wandered this earth on our own. Now all of heaven is beckoning us home. It's time to awaken. It's time to unlearn. It's time to let go and take the journey home. Take the leap of faith. Plunge through the door. Rise to your glory and bow to death no more. It's time to awaken. It's time to unlearn. It's time to let go and take the journey home. Many a lifetime we've waited for this call. Now we have to choose once and for all. It's time to awaken. It's time to unlearn. It's time to let go and take the journey home. Just focus on the breath. That's all we have to do. Grace will lift us and love will see us through. It's time to awaken. It's time to unlearn. It's time to let go and take the journey home. Oh, it's time to let go and take the journey home. Oh, it's time to let go and take the journey home.
That was beautiful. That was just incredible. I loved it.
We even had people on our commenting that have how they're just sobbing when they listened. I definitely cried. That was beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
Well, that's so lovely.
We'll link to the comments, you guys, to his book, Awaken, and we really recommend that you pick it up and take a look at it. So we will check the description in a little while, and we'll have a link to that for you.
All right, David, thank you so much. This was
Thank you so much.
So eye-opening and such an incredible just way of synchronicity with Johanna's movement and with you coming on. And we really didn't time it that way, to be honest.
Isn't it wonderful? And we're making the best of the network of the web whilst it's going. You know?
Yes.
I mean, such wonderful work, girls. Just keep going, because I tell you, you've got so much glory waiting for you. I tell you, The angels are dancing at what you're doing. There's you know, they're absolutely so excited in heaven at what you're doing with this radio show. I tell you, you're out there, you're getting the message out, you're telling people to awaken. I mean, the songs there, everything's there. We're all there working together. And this is a time for joy, a time for rejoicing. We're on our way home, and we're going to have a party in the sky. So don't miss the party in the sky.
David, did you
Blessed
record?
be.
David, did you record that song, like where people could buy it or listen to it?
Yeah, well, it is recorded, and I've just got to get on and get it online. So I'll get on with that process and make sure that song is available as soon as possible.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Excellent.
Okay, David, you stay with us, and we're going to end the show. So thank you guys for joining us.
Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, guys, and share. Please share, because sharing is caring.
It is, and we all need the message.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Let's see if I can